Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests who almost outnumber us. Have you ever had to take a disadvantage and turn it into an advantage? It wasn't too long ago I found myself willingly jumping out of a perfectly good airplane. And as I exited the door at 15,000 feet, and the cold air smacked me in the face as I went plummeting down to the earth, I thought for 1 second, maybe being legally blind is an advantage in this situation. See, I was born with a very, very rare vision disability called achromatopsia. Probably never heard that word before. Sounds like a phobia of something. It's not. Achromatopsia. In the simplest terms, I have about 1/10 the vision of somebody that's with 20/20 vision. I have high sensitivity to bright lights. If I'm outside in the sun and I don't have my sunglasses on, the vision I do have is diminished a little bit. And I'm also color deficient, almost to the point of being colorblind. Now, I don't tell you this because I want you to feel bad for me. Far from it. I've had an incredible life. I have traveled the world from Mexico to Dubai and 10 countries in between those two. I've lived in some of the greatest cities in the US. I'm originally from Boston. You may have heard of us. We lost the Stanley Cup recently to a team I won't talk about. Despite all the Yankee fans, I lived in New York City for a little while, until they kicked me out. I lived in the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., where I literally had a view of the Capitol building from my condo. And for the last 6 years, my family and I have been living here in Chicago, just a few blocks down the road from where we're standing right now. I have an amazing wife, and we have a beautiful 1-year-old daughter. So I don't want you to feel bad for me. The reason why I tell you about my disability is that public speaking, like skydiving, yet far less dangerous, are the few times in my life where my disadvantage becomes an advantage. I've been doing public speaking periodically for over a decade. I did it in my undergrad, I did it for a few jobs, I did it a lot in grad school for the last 3 years, and I can tell you about 90% of the time, I can't see the audience. Ironic that I chose this Toastmasters to join because I can see the audience. But prior to this, I can give speeches and not be fazed by the group. I'm not fazed by the bored stares off to nowhere, or the guy in the back row playing Angry Birds on his iPhone, or the head bobbing of boredom as I give another corporate strategy speech in my classes. I'm carrying on as everyone's having a great time, because I have no evidence to support otherwise. Every now and then I'll sprinkle in some humor or wit, make sure everyone's still listening, a couple laughs, but I'm not fazed. My sophomore year in college, I realized I needed to memorize all my presentations. If I'm reading anything, even large print, I gotta hold it about this close. What kind of presentation would I give if I was holding paper that close? So I learned to memorize all my speeches, or at least the main parts, the beginning, the middle, and the end. I'd fill in the gaps with storytelling and ad-libbing and carry on. But the point is, it's one of the rare times in my life when I've leveled the playing field. Some may even argue I have a leg up. Now this doesn't mean it's easy for me. The night before I give a big presentation, I don't sleep very well. I'm anxious, I'm excited. I want to deliver. Right before I go on, butterflies in my stomach. My hands clam up a little. But when I come up here and I start my presentation, whoosh, it's all good. The adrenaline and the rush takes over. And I think about hitting that home run and delivering the best presentation I can. Now I got a lot to learn. And I realized that in the last 4 weeks that I've been here at Toastmasters. I talk with my hands a lot. They're all over the place. My parents used to say, if we tied your hands together for 3 minutes, you wouldn't be able to talk. Tim's going to probably tell me I need to keep my hands by my side, turn my elbows out. I need to learn to make eye contact. Now that I can see everybody in the room, I'm not used to doing that. I'm going to have to not walk all over the stage like I usually do, because we have a stage the size of my New York City apartment. And as Ken taught me one week, when you move, you have to move with purpose. So I've already identified a few things. I'm depending on you guys to tell me the few dozen more things I need to work on. and I want you to continue to challenge me. In return, I hope to tell you some amusing stories. Maybe about jumping out of an airplane. Not only once, but twice. And maybe, just maybe, I can help one or two of you find a disadvantage and turn it into an advantage. Mr. Toastmaster.